Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on a 2008 Honda Ridgeline, taking care of the rear brakes. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Okay, so here we have the 2008 Honda Ridgeline. We're going to be doing the rear brakes. First thing we got to do is loosen up these lug nuts. These are 22 millimeter. Okay, that's those broken loose. Spin the lug nuts off with the impact. Get the tire out of the way. So I am using a drilled and fluted brake rotor. It's not overly necessary, but I do some light towing with this, and I occasionally have to do some mountain driving. Doing the locksmithing, I have gone through the mountains to go work on some MRI trailers. Is it totally necessary? No, it's just a little added extra insurance to try and get these things to last as long as possible. Feels like a 13. $14 millimeter, first try. Alright, so when I broke this loose, this pin is spinning, so we need to hold on to that while we take the nut out. Otherwise you'll twist the boot and tear it all up. Now this brake package I got from Summit Racing, not a sponsor, did come with new boot, so we'll just spin these out. Comes off. We take a hook, we're gonna want to hang our brake caliper so it doesn't hang by the cord. Sitting there, you're in the way. Okay, so we'll just set that aside over there. Put you down here. Alright, so this rear pad was almost to the squeaker. get these two out. And that's an 18 millimeter. Oh. Get those broken loose. Spin in my hand. That one's a little tight still. There's that. Both pins are moving freely, so that's good. Take that pad out, and that one was pretty much gone. All right, so now we do have a screw right here holding on the rotor, and that is a number 3 bit for the screwdriver. They shouldn't be in super tight. So on this model, inside this rotor, there's actually a drum brake as well, and that is your emergency brake. So get that off. So here you have your pads for your emergency brake. Down here is a star wheel that you use to adjust your brakes. So this is all looking decent, no major rust or anything like that. So we don't need to clean that up at all. And then to pay homage to Self-Main Auto. So up here in the Northeast, we got rust problems. So we'll hit this with some fluid film just to give it some protection. Just a light spritz. Careful not to get it on the pads. So now we're on to the caliper. I said both pins slide freely, which is awesome, but we'll still take them apart, look at them, clean them, and lube them up. Do have this boot is stuck to the pin. I'm going to be careful not to rip the boot, but like I said, this kit did come with new boots. So that's the first time I've ever, well, second time, because I saw it for the first time on the front brakes. But it's unusual to find the boots in the kit. All right, so we peel that back, take out the pin, peel that back, take off that pin, take off your guides, and again, these look in good shape. Clean off the old grease off the pins. hit the pins with a little lube. Don't need to go too crazy, because if you put too much on, then it'll bind up in the hole. Put them on. Sorry for getting out of frame. Alright, there you go. Those still move freely. And then we will hit this with some of the lube as well, just to help prevent rusting up here in the Northeast. Alright, there we go, just a light coat. Take our new pads. They do have recommended break-in instructions. Just look at the at your new guides. So they do have a long side and a short side. So these are directional. So you want to take them in pairs. Some of them are equal on both sides and it doesn't matter. But you do want to make sure when you, before you go and just start jamming them in, that you look at them to see if they are directional. We'll go to our caliper bracket, and you can see it has a long side and a short side. So and it tells us which way it wants to go. So we get that pushed in. That one pushed in, it all snapped in. We take our new pads. One of them has a squeaker, one does not. So if you remember, the inside pad, you can tell there's the ring that the piston made. So if you forget, you can always go back to your old pads, because they will have witness marks. So there's the ring from the piston of the caliper, there's the squeaker. So that's your inside pad. Your outside pad, no squeaker. So you want to load up your bracket with your new pads. And then if you really want to drive yourself crazy, take the pad out and then put it back in the package and then try and look for it. Alright, so there's your pad. There's your bracket loaded. Set that aside. take your new rotor. Now if you do buy the drilled and fluted rotors, they are directional. They are directional in it, so it matters which side they go on. Something else that you need to look out for, and yours may or may not have it depending on how lazy the person is that did the brakes last time. But you can see here this little rubber grommet. That is the adjustment hole for the emergency brake. So you need to take that out of your old rotor, if it's there, and put it in the new one. If it's not there, it's not the end of the world. It just helps keep dust and debris out of your emergency brake. So that pries out. New rotor comes in. And this can be a little fun to get in, but it's supposed to be there, so do it right. There we go. So there's that put back in, and then we'll just take our rotor, put it on backwards, and then once again for South Main Auto, and then for Raymond Ray, another. Flip it over. And remember, you do have that screw, so you need to find how this needs to sit in order for that screw to catch. The screw's right there. Then you take your screw, get that in. Tighten it down. You don't need to go crazy with it. Like I said, all that does is it holds your rotor on as you go and put your caliper back together. So now we take your loaded bracket. Oh, forgot we need to clean off the outside. Okay. Take our bolts, get them started. run them down. And if you remember, there's no room in here for my power tools, so I have to use hand tools. Not the end of the world, just takes a little longer. So those are run down finger tight. Get them snug. And then you want to torque them to factory specs. Then you take your caliper. You can take a brake compression tool or some vice grips or C-clamp or whatever you got. Need to slide it in here, and this looks like this is actually too big to fit in here. As tight as that goes, and it does not fit. That's lovely. Alright, so this is too big to fit in there. Need to come up with a different way. Be right back. Okay, so my brake tool that I use on the front brakes won't work back here. There's not enough space in here. So I did purchase a while ago, never had a chance to use it. This little kit here by Orion, got it off Amazon, not a sponsor. But I got it because the newer vehicles, rather than having a drum brake for the emergency brake, they actually have the emergency brake part of this caliper. So when you push this caliper back in on the newer vehicles, not only do you have to push it in, you also have to screw it in. So this kit here comes with a right hand and left hand thread for depending on which side of the vehicle you're working on. It comes with all the whole bunch of different adapters for different brake systems. So the way this works, since this brake system isn't a screw-in type, it really doesn't matter which of the two I take, left hand or right hand. But you start out, you push the handle all the way to one side. You take this tool here, which will sit on this side to put pressure on the ears, and then we can take this one here without any of the pins, and we'll just make sure, yep, that'll push up against that caliper nicely. So we'll set this up. So you take this, so you take this plate, it slides over the pin, slides over the handle, slides down to the back side of this nut here. then your whatever cup you're using will go on here. There are live earth magnets, so it kind of helps hold it in place. And then I'll set you down and see how it works. All right, so we take that. Not quite small enough. Get it to sit inside. And then just turn it and push your piston back in. Now, if this was one of the newer ones, you'd also have to turn this nut here, which would spin this part. Just for example, so you can see how this has pins. So if this had grooves in it, you'd have to rotate it back in as you're compressing it. But since this doesn't, we just push it back in. That just goes back in. Until it stops. Loosen this up. Take it out. And you can see this boot is bubbled out past the piston face, and you definitely don't want that, so you need to make sure that you tuck that back in. You may need to pry the edge away a little bit to kind of burp it, which will help it roll back in as well. Sorry for my fingers being in the way. And there you can see that's rolled right back in. So now that's all set. Again, being in the Northeast, we do have a rust issue. So we'll hit the face of the metal parts with the brake grease. That helps slow down rust as well as help stop squeaks. Take that, flip it over. You may need to push your pins in a little bit. There we go, that's seated. Get your screws started. Make sure you don't strip them out or cross-thread them. And you want to tighten them down. Now, where these are spinning, you may need to, if you can't hold them with your fingers to get them to, until it bites, you may need to grab a open-end wrench. You definitely don't want to spin them and get those boots to tear. right back when I grab an opening wrench. Then for those of you keeping score, it's a 17 millimeter here and a 14 millimeter on the outside. So that's your brakes back together. So then while you're in here, you might as well check out the rest of your components. So the boots are looking good. Spring is looking good. The shock shock strut is completely covered by the boot, so really can't see anything there. But I don't see any oil anywhere, so that's most likely not leaking. Look at the sway bar link, and if you can see that up there, there is a gap between, getting my fingers in the way. So there is a gap in between the sway bar and the link. So I'm gonna have to get a new sway bar link for at least this side. So that'll be another day. Look at the rest of it. I did have an incident where kind of got pushed off the road by a delivery truck on a real narrow road. So I ended up going into a deep shoulder, and I did end up, when I did the front brakes, I looked in the right up there, one of the subframe brackets got a little bent, so I did get that. And then you can see I have some lovely northeast salt damage. So upcoming video, this will get fixed. Do have a new rocker panel, and have not been able to figure out what this part here is. I thought it was the inner rocker, but when I ordered the new inner rockers, it's this part here is considered the inner rocker. So if anyone watching the video knows what this piece is called, that covers the inner rocker, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll just cut out all the rusted sections and take some steel, bend it up, and make a new one. You know, just shape it up. Okay, so the only thing left now is to put the wheel back on. So that's changing the rear brakes on your 2008 Honda Ridgeline. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, God bless. Have a wonderful day.